Film directors yelling action and cut are almost as iconic as cinema itself. We'll talk in detail about the workflow of calling shots in the next training series about working on set, but here I want to talk about a new exception to this gold standard. In times past, the cost of film was one of the things that made filmmaking so out of reach for most independent filmmakers. Every second that cameras recorded used up film, which costs money. So filmmakers with smaller budgets were usually really judicious with takes because they had to be financially. But now in the days of video, recording video doesn't really cost anything. You can do take after take while the cameras keep recording instead of calling cut. Here's what that looked like on the Assurance.
Back to one, back to one, back to one. Keep rolling, keep rolling.
Hello?
Okay, do that again, keep rolling, and then go back to one. Notice that I often started my notes by yelling still rolling so that camera and audio didn't stop recording at the sound of my voice.
Keep rolling, and then we'll back up to one.
Still speeding.
The big benefit of doing things this way is that it maintains the same level of energy for the cast and crew. If the crew needs to move the camera faster, if the actors need to raise the emotional stakes or whatever, they stay in the zone, so it's easier to make little refinements. When shooting this shot for the council scene, it was tough because it was a little complex. We wanted the framing to make the preacher seem weak, and we also had a constant sliding shot that had to reveal Mark Holland at just the right time. Why do the whole scene again when we're just trying to perfect that opening part of the camera shot? So we just kept repeating it without stopping while the cast and crew were still warmed up. Also, when the actors get into character, they can stay in character with rolling takes like this. If they flub a line or say something wrong and you want to start over, why stop the whole production and lose all that momentum? Just keep going. But it also saves so much production time. On most takes, after the director yells cut, everybody swoops in to tweak hair, makeup, wardrobe. They might adjust lights a little bit, change batteries, and so on. You might have people sneak off to use the bathroom or whatever. And then everybody needs to be regathered and resettled, and the shot needs to be called and slated again. It's just a momentum killer and a huge time suck to me. Another benefit of this workflow is that it can help you if you're up against the clock and maybe your first AD or your crew is really pressuring you to hurry up and move on. If you don't cut, then you probably won't get harassed about how behind you are and you can keep trying things. And we didn't have this problem on the Assurance, thankfully, but oftentimes inexperienced ADs have a difficult time knowing how intensely to pressure directors about the schedule. They can get aggressive to the point of distraction. And while you do want to be on the same page as your first AD, of course, it's ultimately your responsibility to make sure that you get that shot. And continuously rolling takes might give you a little bit more wiggle room to get it. When you're working with the perfect take in post-production, nobody's going to remember that it took you an extra 6 minutes to get it. If you do decide to run your set like this, then you should also be aware that it will create longer video clips that may or may not contain multiple takes. This does make things a little bit more complex for the edit. So you'll want to coordinate with your script supervisor and make sure that they take meticulous notes about each version and each take so that the editor doesn't miss something. Now, I should probably clarify something that I said earlier in this tutorial when I said that recording to memory cards doesn't really cost anything. Now, that's technically true, but it does create some extra expenses down the line that you probably should be aware of. It costs money to store that extra footage on hard drives. It also takes more time for the editor to catalog and dig through all these different takes from the extra footage. So while I love rolling takes, don't go crazy here. My feeling on the matter is that if I can give a note and fix the shot faster than it would take to cut and reslate and all that, then we keep rolling. There's really no need to cut if an actor just needs a little bit more powder or whatever. But if I need to have a conversation with the actors, or I'd like to try adjusting the framing, the camera movement, or whatever, something that would take a little bit more time, then I prefer to cut. You might prefer to do things differently, or not use this technique at all, and that's fine. This technique hasn't really been feasible on most productions until recently, so it's important to find a production workflow that works for you.